Welcome to another episode of Bourbon and Rum. This is a podcast of two brothers from opposite ends of the spectrum. My name's Kent. I'm a rum drinker, and I'm from the left side of the aisle.
And I'm Kyle. I like bourbon, tend to be a little more conservative. Join us as we explore this experiment. Can two brothers from different sides of the political spectrum have a civil conversation and celebrate our differences?
What are you drinking?
I am drinking a Green River Full Proof. I wasn't sure if I did this before or not. Got a little while ago. I hadn't had it before. I'd heard good things about it, but it's I guess a distillery dated back to the late 1800s. It was known initially as the whiskey without regrets. Interesting.
Boy, I need a case of that.
It gained fame as the official medicinal whiskey for the U.S. Marine Hospital in 1913. So it's got a medical element to it as well. But
wow.
And then they went away and then came back, and now it's owned by Bardstown. But I got the full proof here, 117 proof, so a nice little wake you up in the morning. What are you drinking?
One I've had before. It's the bottle's Plantation. This is the company that was Plantation, has now changed their name to Planta Ray, just because that's probably different, probably a better name today. It's a Barbados rum, so it's a British style rum, but it's infused with pineapple. So they take and it mirrors a recipe from 1824 from a Reverend Stiggins, who used to infuse his rum with pineapple. What they do is when they carve the pineapple, they take the skin off of it and they throw it in the rum and let it cook for a little while. We've done that too. We've taken like fresh sliced pineapple and put it in a mason jar with rum and give it a week or so. Very nice.
Sounds great. Well, we was hoping to record earlier this week. I was on a business trip to Canada, and I brought my microphone thinking we'd do it. But it's probably a good thing we didn't, because you can't find bourbon in Canada right now. It's impossible. Because of the tariffs, they banned bourbon. Now, what's weird is they have rye everywhere. So you can get a Knob Creek rye at the restaurant, but you can't get a Knob Creek bourbon. Like, okay, all right.
If you had to be stuck in a place you couldn't get bourbon, Canada wouldn't be the worst place. Not only can you get American rye, I mean, there's a lot of really good Canadian whiskey out there.
And I don't know, the bourbon thing has ruined me forever. I mean, I got a glass of nice scotch there, and I thought I was going to throw up. I'm like, man, this is awful. And I used to love scotch. So
I like scotch. I've never been crazy about scotch, but man, I do find a good Canadian very sippable.
That's true.
Since we talked last, the Epstein story is back and strong. And I'm going to make a prediction before we get into it. I think you and I are probably going to agree on a lot of this, but we're going to come at it from different angles. And I will also put out there that I think that there are people in both parties trying to make this a partisan issue, but this is the least partisan issue that we've had come before us in a decade, I think.
Yeah. Gosh, the whole thing, it doesn't make any sense to me. And I don't know. Well, so let me lay this out there.
Yeah, let's level set us here.
Based on the whole disclosure, nothing to see here, folks. And then, meanwhile, he and the rest of the movement were pushing for visibility, and then now there's nothing to see, and you're all stupid for wanting, and it's a hoax again. But to me, if I'm looking at this, either the thing was hyped up is a way to fan the base and get everybody revved up, and then Pam Bondi revved it up and said, hey, I've got this thing on my desk, I'm going to release it. And then they dug into it and they were like, oh crap, it's a big nothing burger. And then they do this, which was an idiotic way to handle it if that were the case. So it's either that or two, there's all kinds of crap with Trump in there. And this is a cover up so Trump doesn't make himself look bad, which possible. But then again, I'm thinking, why wouldn't that have come out in the last 4 years if there was truly something there? And then the third alternative is there some deeper conspiracy? Is this guy working for the CIA or Mossad or something? Those are the three that are in my mind. What else am I missing? Is there another alternative?
No, I think that those are really the three possibilities. It's either so minor that it's nothing, and evidence in that would be, was it a month or two ago that Pam Bondi called a bunch of conspiracy theorists and then they gave them the binders. We're releasing the first round of the Epstein
And it
information.
was all crap everybody had seen.
Yeah, so either it's nothing and it's kind of like wah wah, there's nothing to show. Or, I mean, I think it's, well, we know Trump had a relationship with Epstein. I don't
Right.
want, I don't
Well,
characterize that.
he's in the flight logs, and that was released before, so he's been on the plane. Yeah.
Exactly. So there's something there. I got to tell you, I'm going to lean toward door number three a little bit. And, I am like the least conspiratorial person out there. The fact that you've had Trump, Biden, and Trump administrations consecutively have had their hands on this stuff, what it tells me is that people have tried to weaponize it in rhetoric, but in truth, look, I'm a card carrying Democrat, and I'll tell you that if Bill Clinton isn't at the top of the client list, I'm crazy. Right? Like,
Yeah. Right.
again, and that's not a surprise. Like, we kind of know that. So the reason it hasn't been, there was just enough known. Well, Bill Clinton's in there, so they could make mileage out of this. But Trump had to know that he was reflected in there too.
Yeah.
Why would you risk that? Why would you make such a you watch him right now, and I I just got to say, the press conference where he was like, Jeffrey Epstein, you
I
people are
know.
still talking about that guy.
Are you freaking crazy? I mean, yeah.
And if you're
Everybody is
there,
obviously, and you were up until 3 days ago.
right, like, if you're in there, that's your perspective from day one. He was a bad man, and I regret any exchanges that I had with him. Have you
Now that
did you happen to see? Oh,
that
go ahead.
said, well, it made me think of one thing. There's a couple interviews with Trump run up to the campaign. It was a couple of the podcasters and a couple of folks, and they asked him, "Would you release the Epstein files?" And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, I probably would. Yeah, yeah, probably, maybe." It was weird. It wasn't like, "Oh hell yeah, we're releasing the Epstein." I mean, JD Vance is like, "We got to release the Epstein files," but Trump is a little like hesitant, which kind of makes you wonder. Okay, why is he hesitant?
Well, okay. So the other thing that happened since we started kind of discussing this pre-show is the Wall Street Journal article came out about, so I'm just going to say this, whether that's a true story or not, that there's an open question about that. I'm going to say, with Trump popping off and suing every media outlet, when they sued ABC for their editing of the interview with Kamala Harris, like, what do you think television channels do? That's what they do. And the only reason that they got money on that, I'm ranting here, anytime that got near a court of law, it would have been like laughed out. This is the First Amendment. But knowing that blood is in the water and that Trump's doing it, and indeed he has sued Rupert Murdoch for $2 billion.
10 billion. 10
10
billion.
billion?
Yeah, yeah.
Forgive
That's all
my
I read.
error. Look, I, I don't think the Wall Street Journal rolls the dice on this. They knew what the stakes of this were. I'm going to
Yeah,
go out on a
I
limb,
don't
but
think Rupert Murdoch's shaking in his shoes over this, but
no, I think they got the receipts, I guess is what I'm saying. I don't think that they weren't going to take a flyer on something this much of a bombshell, I don't think. But even if it's not true, I got to say, when like there was this buzz coming up to it that there was going to be a big story drop from a
Yeah.
big paper about it, that Donald Trump wrote a tacky letter to an asshole friend of his. That might be one of the least shocking things I've ever
Well,
heard.
Kent, he doesn't draw pictures. He's never drawn any pictures. Did you see that article come out? And he's got like all these. I mean, some of them are very elaborate drawings of the bridge and the money tree. Like, okay,
And they're going back and they're going to make a fake, so they actually dug up a Sharpie to use to draw the
yeah.
thing. I mean, but anyway, so please tell me, for heaven's sake, that that wasn't the reason that Trump was hesitant to release this stuff. Like
Well,
because
and then the only other piece that there's been some suggestions of is that it could be, if the other possibility, I suppose, is that there is information that is released, but it would impact the victims and make them relive, and that would be bad. Okay, get that. But I feel like with that possibility or the nothing burger possibility, if you wanted this story to go away, you would come out and you'd say, you know what, we made a mistake. We said this thing was a big deal. We dug through it. There's really not much there. Never be done by Trump. I don't think he's ever admitted in failure, and most administrations don't. I mean, most people aren't in the habit of saying we screwed up. But or you'd say, hey, we're going to release everything, but there's not a lot here, but and there is more, but we can't release it, and here's why: because the impacts of victims' families. Like you could lay all that out. The way they laid it out was like, well, there's nothing here. Like it just invited so
right.
much suspicion.
Are you still
I think
talking
that's,
about that guy?
I mean, I really think that's probably the highest possibility that there really is nothing there. But I mean, how stupid are they to have rolled out like they did? Like, did they not think that's going to invite suspicious the way she's like, it's on my desk, I'm going to release it. Oh, no, there's nothing here. Like, what the hell do you think's going to happen?
um, I keep going. I do want to state something that's bothering me right now, and that is a trend that I've seen among the liberal media that I watch, and it makes me really nervous. A couple of times, this is a composite view, right? Like of what different people have said, but you could find any number of clips from MSNBC where the host is saying, "Well, Trump is used conspiracy theories from the get-go, and this issue that was nothing, and there was nothing there, they made a big deal out of it, and now they're getting burned by it, ha ha, because now he's at war with." I am not ready to say that there's nothing there, and
Yeah.
and that's why I say I don't think it's a partisan issue. I do feel some commonality with Alex Jones on this. You can't say that Jeffrey Epstein's not a scandal. You can't say that it's a hoax. Whatever's there, it was a horrible, horrible thing, and it was big, it was well funded, and it involved a lot of powerful people. So I'm just not hearing this. Oh, those silly Republicans are falling for some crazy. No, it's a big damn deal.
Well,
And
and honestly, the part I'm almost more interested in than a supposed client list is, okay, how did this jackass go from being a school teacher to near a billionaire and owning an island? I think you sent me a video of that guy. Was that Mark
did you watch
Halperin?
that?
Yeah, and like he said, he's like, there's rich people, but they don't own islands. Like that
Right.
is like that's like a different angle. And the other thing he was talking about, I think it was him or maybe it was somebody else was talking about, like they met with him and like he had no financial knowledge. Like he knew nothing about finances, yet he made $1 billion. Like how the hell did that work?
The Yeah, tracing his history is weird. That clip that I sent you, maybe the producer will link. It's Eric Weinstein was on
Okay, that's who it was.
Modern Wisdom. And the other thing, he had some really interesting things to say. He's an academic. He's kind of I will make no judgments about the guy, but he met him for some other reason. But he was like, this didn't even add up. The guy came up and he was like, I was just doing some currency trading.
Yeah, yeah. So,
And he's like, look, I've been around rich people. That's not how rich people are. And
right,
I've been around rich people, and I would say exactly the same. And so I think it is super suspicious what this guy's background was, what the root of the money was. And there's stuff out there, all kinds of. Now I am sounding like a conspiracy theorist, but just the mere facts, right? You know, this guy is on the scene. It costs a lot of money to maintain a mansion in New York, a big private jet. Last fall, we vacationed near Epstein's Island, not on Epstein's
hmm,
Island, but near Epstein's Island in the Virgin Islands. The other person that owns an island in the Virgin Islands, not too far from there, is Richard Branson. But that's the kind of money you're talking about.
right,
And this guy comes from a failed high school teacher, college
right,
dropout. There's more to that story. And so, I mean, you don't have to be making stuff up. Just string those facts together and explain that to me. That it doesn't pass muster.
right.
And so I also believe that there's probably not the kind of client list that people are hoping for. There's probably not a white binder with like a printed thing on the spine that says client list.
Yeah, well,
But
and why would that kind of defies logic? I mean, if the guy's a criminal, is he? It seems pretty odd that he's going to have a list laying around.
yeah, but the really interesting one, I think I mentioned this to you, Ron Wyden, senator from Oregon on the banking committee. It's like, we got 4,700 transactions to review and where the money's flying around.
Yeah,
Like, I think those are really, really valid things to look at.
yeah,
And so let's talk about option three. Is it possible that this was a some kind of an intelligence thing, some kind of an intelligence gathering thing? Did you know, or did you hear? You probably have, that Alex Acosta, who was the attorney general in Trump's first term, was the prosecutor in Florida who went after him. And he gave him a sweetheart deal. And he said publicly, he's on the record, like, yeah, somebody told me this guy was intelligence of some kind and to back off.
wow,
Yeah. And this is a long time ago, right? This is before Trump
yeah,
won. So it's not like we're making the story up after the fact and writing it back to this, right? Like, that was out there back then.
well, and he died while Trump was in office. Now that's the other angle too. Okay, maybe Trump's not in the file, but did he have something to do with his death?
Yeah, I don't know. I still think, like, tacky as this letter thing from the Wall Street Journal. I mean, it's tacky. Like, like, I hope that's not the kind of thing you kill a guy in prison over.
Well,
Like,
I mean, like, what if he was an asset and it was time to terminate him, and the government
yeah,
terminated him, and all that. Like, if the CIA called in a hit, even if Trump did it, that's the kind of stuff that people would lose their crap over. So you're not going to. I could see him not releasing that for some reason.
well, right. So, I mean, and I'm not espousing this, but if the dude was CIA or FBI or something, and the decision was made to ice him in prison, did Trump order it, or did they do it without checking with the boss? Neither of those is a good look.
Right.
Or the Israelis did it, or the KGB did it, and we couldn't stop it, even though we had the dude in custody. Like, none of those is a good look.
And this is another part that just torques me at the stupidity. I mean, I'm amazed at the stupidity of the administration and how they handled this. Because, okay, if there's a nothing burger, they could make it go away by, like we said, if Trump was in it, they could make it go away by saying, hey, there's nothing here, kind of like the first answer. If you did that right, everybody'd move on and they'd get over it. Or even if it was an intelligence operation, especially then, you'd want to make it look like there's nothing to see here. And the way they did it, all it did it is invite and suspect.
Do you think so? I'd have to look back. The people that were most vocal about trying to make mileage out of this for the last few years, were they people who knew anything or not?
I
Like,
mean,
I don't
Dan
think
Dan
before,
Bongino, I don't think really knew what the heck was going on.
yeah, J.D. Vance, before he's sworn in, he doesn't know crap.
Yeah,
And so was it people who, without any knowledge, but Trump would have known what was in there. Again, I mean, the guy was arrested and killed or committed suicide during Trump's administration. Surely they would have had some idea that what was in there. And even Trump himself, if there's damaging stuff, he's got to know at least that there's a possibility, right? Even if it's not there, you got to know. Look, well, I was hung out with the guy, and yeah, probably pictures of you know what's there or what's not. I I don't believe any conspiracy theory. I'm like the most skeptical guy. I literally thought Lee Harvey Oswald did it until about 18 months ago. I mean, I just, in general, I think a conspiracy doesn't work because people talk.
Yeah.
This, though, it defy. I can't, with a straight face, look at somebody and say that he finally concluded that it was time to commit suicide when he's in the Manhattan jail.
Yeah.
It just defies logic. And so there's something there. I don't know what it is, but there is more to this story.
And the level of suspicion around the video too is they sure as hell didn't quell any of that. I'm like, there's obviously a minute missing, and it's not even. I mean, I don't even think it's the right angle. I mean, I'm sure there's other angles of footage in there, and then Cash Patel's like, "No, I'm telling you, there's no way." Like,
Note to self: if you're gonna fake a video, fake the metadata too.
yeah,
It's funny because even if, and I'm not, look, I really don't want to be like I'm piling on. I don't see this as some like treasure trove that landed for the Democrats to beat up on Trump over. If people are looking at it that way, that's BS. It's
well,
it's unfair to the victims. It goes both ways. Just we need to drop that.
well, and you can't put this on the Democrat. I mean, Trump's like, this is a Democrat. No, it's not. The Democrats haven't said jack about this. It's all you and your people. I mean, you can't. There's no Democrat that has been jumping up and down saying we need to release the Epstein files. I mean, that's
Well,
because
now
they
they
don't
are,
care
but
or whether it's part of the conspiracy. Who knows? But you can't pin that on them. I mean, he's an idiot. I mean, he's done irreparable damage to his base. Now he's not going to run for election again. He's going to lose a ton of ground in the midterms. There are a ton of people that are going to walk away forever and already have. I mean, it is.
do you think it's that deep?
Dumbest,
That was one of my questions. Does it feel does it feel that much of a betrayal?
The thing about the betrayal, to me, the betrayal isn't like you didn't release it. There's a conspiracy. Like maybe there's a conspiracy. I'm with you. I'm not ruling that out, but that's not what upsets me about it. What angers me is you were an idiot the way you handled this, and then in response, instead of like fixing it, you're gaslighting everybody and spewing out complete bullshit. And now, like everybody who ever believed in you at all is like, this is complete BS. And like, oh, you're going to call me an idiot? You're an idiot, obviously, and it's like, and I like some of the influencers that I listen to, it's like, if you thought this was all about you, like this movement, it's not about you. Like, he thought it was all about him, but like the movement's bigger than him. What people are wanting is a whole lot bigger than him. And I'm not, he's probably not going to resign. He's probably going to be the president for the next 3 years. So, and like I thought he did a horrible job on the big beautiful bill. So, like I would say I'm disillusioned. I'm not saying like it's funny because at a time like this, people are like, "See, you're completely wrong, and you should have voted for the other guy." You're like, "Well, I still wouldn't have voted for Joe Biden, but like, I think he's totally screwed this up. I think he's screwed up the big beautiful bill. I'm not a fan. I'm not as much of a fan as I might have been before. I hope that I wasn't. I tried to stress like I'm not all in for the dude. I'm hopeful that what he does, like my thought was he was an individual, and part of the negativity that the Democrats don't like is part of why I thought maybe he could do some of the things he was promoting he could do. I'm starting to wonder if he can do that. I mean, he's already kind of exhibiting that he's part of the deep state. He talks against the deep state and he's playing into the deep state. I'm hopeful he'll do something else that's productive in his term. But yeah, I mean, it really makes you a lot about the man. Like, are you freaking kidding me? You're going to do this crap, and then that's your reaction. You're going to try to back the bus over your supporters. He's going to lose his support faster than a CEO loses his job at a Coldplay concert.
Man, I gotta say, I felt bad when that one outburst of Trump, they're stupid and they fell for it kind of
Like,
thing.
you're
I felt
such an idiot.
bad. And I'll admit my perspective. And as a Christian, I have felt like that. Like, I mean, there's different ways to look at it. And again, I don't want to be piling on, but one of the things that has bothered me about Trump is that he's an opportunist. He's not driven by some
Moral compass, right?
moral compass, and he situationally takes what he can get. But I have felt like, and we would disagree about this, but a lot of the things that he's done, not all the things that he's done, and I'm in favor of. I'm rambling here. I'm in favor of budgetary restraint, but arguably some of the things that are baked into that bill, we're going to spend a whole lot of money, and it's not going to get a whole lot better for poor people. And I have been horrified watching it from afar, feeling like he exhibits a really low level of respect for his supporters. He'll cash the checks, he'll take the votes, but he's contemptuous. And this was I think a really, and maybe I was wrong before and this was a different thing, but it just hurt. I think you've made yourself really clear on this conversation, this podcast, about your support for him, that it was a measured, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but a measured risk. He's a known commodity. There's ups and downs, but you thought that he had the potential to advance things that you thought were really important for our country. I think there's a lot of people in this country that voted for the guy.
Well,
I
they
don't know.
think they know
I'm
him. They think
rambling.
he's got their back, and but
Yeah.
the guy doesn't. He's a transactional human being, and but I think he's miscalculated
Mm,
just how negative this is going to hurt him, and I think it's just the beginning. I mean,
really?
I think it's going to get a lot worse for. I say, like, maybe he doesn't resign. I mean, I don't know that he would resign, but like his support is going to melt. I mean, and
Yeah.
I joke, I tongue in cheek about the Coldplay. Literally, he can have all the political capital in the world with this whole movement. They'll turn their back on him in an instant. There's some influencer. I saw a video of. I've heard of the guy before. I don't know anything about him. Nick Fuentes or something. You heard of this dude?
Yeah. Isn't he the white supremacist that was so, it was a really ugly deal when Trump had him to dinner
Oh
at
yeah, something like that.
Mar-a-Lago.
I don't know the guy or
Yeah,
follow the guy, but
but no, he's
I saw
out
the
there. He's a
I saw the guy in the video, and he's like, "What? You're going to call me stupid? F you!" And then he's like, you know what? You're fat. You're stupid. Like, oh my gosh! I mean, that got personal fast.
So here's another element to this
And he,
that,
but in this, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but
yeah,
and then he says, "Mega is the scam of the century," and this is like one of the main. I don't know what. He was a
wow.
wow.
Well, here's another element to that in some ways explains that part of the reaction. I hadn't even thought about this, but Ezra Klein from the New York Times has a podcast, and he broke this down. And he's one, I will call him out if we get the kind of visibility for this, that the New York Times is taking issue with me, Mr. Klein. Yeah, I thought you were wrong on this. He was one of those who's like, yeah, it's just this guy, and he died in prison, and everybody's making a big deal out of it, and those silly Republicans bought. I think that that's wrong. But one thing that Ezra Klein said that was really insightful about this, he said. Nobody's really talked much about this, but Donald Trump's not, besides the teasing, Donald Trump's not going to be running for president in 2028. And lame duckness happens really fast. And you've
Yeah,
got a lot of people without a clear holder of the mantle. I think JD Vance thinks that he's that. I don't think that he is. And so part of what's got people streaming for the exits is the kind of the blatant giving the finger to his people. But part of it is everybody who's out there thinking that they want to be president is looking for the moment to make their move.
Right.
And he just opened the door for people to
Absolutely.
say, I was in favor of what he was talking about, but this is just unacceptable. And I'm
Yeah.
starting to position myself now.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I think it's just a level of colossal stupidity and hubris probably more than anything. Like, I am the guy and everybody's going to follow me. No, you're not. You're just a jackass at the end of the day. If that's how you're going to behave, like, I just think, wow. Well, one of the other things I was going to say, I was listening to somebody else and they were talking about, you know, everybody's like, oh, JD Vance's career. I mean, being in Trump's orbit, it's like flying close to the sun. It's not good for you. I mean,
No.
who in his orbit the last go round is anywhere? Like, it's not a good place to be. So I don't see JD Vance making a long term.
I do think there's a bit of a like a Greek tragedy thing going on about this because the one thing about Trump that is that he's like we just said, there's no moral compass or higher authority guiding this. This is like I'm doing what I want to do, and I'll use people that are good for me, and I will discard them when they're not good for me. Kind of what's happening to him. He's kind of
Yeah,
getting a taste of his own medicine, right? Like
absolutely.
people didn't join up because they love. There are people that do, and people think that he's funny and whatever. But if he thinks that people are following him like the Pied Piper, I think he's mistaken.
I mean, and I can find myself like I said, he's probably going to be president. I do like some of the things he's done. I think he's done some things well. Uh, I'd like to see like foreign policy. I'd love to see more movement, things like the Abraham Accords. Like, there's things that I see that are positive, but I got to be honest. I want. I've been now watching press conferences because I'm like, they need to give him some more crap about Epstein. Like, no, he needs to eat it. Like, he bungled this thing, and he's a jerk, and they need to shove it, you know, where the
Yeah,
sun doesn't shine and make him that he needs to own this because it is complete nonsense. I mean, and if you're going to call this a hoax, then all these other hoaxes that you're calling hoaxes, well, maybe there is something there. Like, and I think he was successful in creating a movement that changed the demographics of both the Republican and the Democrat Party. We've talked about that.
true. Yeah,
He screws this up the way he's screwing up. This is going to morph into something in the midterms. There's going to be people by constituencies that they never knew existed. I mean,
Hmm.
if he thinks that this is something he can control by behaving the way he is, I think it's going to crash and burn. And then, he doesn't care. He's got plenty of money and he'll blame
Right.
everybody else and he'll drift off into non-existence. But I think, honestly, for him, the worst outcome for him will be for everybody to hate him on his base. And honestly, he's doing that. And that's what's, like you said, it's almost like a Greek tragedy. It's like, and he's complaining now. He's like, we're winning. We're doing all these things great. And all we're talking about is Epstein. And like, well, true. And you did it to yourself because you're a jerk.
Here's part of where I'm at, and I hope you believe me on this, and I hope other Democrats feel the same way, and I hope Republicans feel the same way. When I saw that in the Oval Office, you're stupid. You believe this bullshit. It made me sad, and it was what was horrifying to me is you and I would. I mean, we've directly disagreed about a lot of stuff. But you've never called me stupid, and you never said I don't love my country. You can say that I'm wrong from a policy standpoint. And I think that's where political debate ought to reside. It ought to
Mm-hmm.
be about issues and about differences of opinion and different worldviews, different economic frameworks, right? But calling the other side stupid and disloyal and traitorous, it cheapens all of us. And
Well, and
I,
and and even if you go for that and you like that, what's even dumber than that is calling both sides stupid and disloyal.
Right. If you voted for me, you're stupid because you bought that shit. If you didn't vote for me, you're stupid because you didn't
Like, what do
vote
they
for
call it? Like a circular firing squad? I mean, this is genius, pal.
I've wanted, I, I don't mean to be too sappy about this, but I do long for a time when the battlefield was drawn over substantive issues and genuine policy debates. And we've talked about this before. I'm sure it was probably uglier on the inside than it looked on the outside. But the days of Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill had very different views of the world. But I don't think anybody ever questioned whether, even people that hated Ronald Reagan, I don't think they thought that he didn't love the country. They think he was wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's just I wish we had that. I think that's the
Well,
appropriate arena.
I wish we had I wish we had, and I think we can to pull this off here, but I wish we could have more of an open dialogue to be with somebody that loves their country and somebody that hates their country. Hey, if you hate the country, that's okay. I can still talk to you. Like,
Yeah,
it's just a country. I mean, I guess I mean by that is like the nature of the opinions, like the division of the opinions can be as far away as night and day, and people can still have a dialogue. But it's
yeah,
like, I feel like it's in today's day and age, it's less about how far apart they are, because I feel like people have been far apart for forever about different stuff. It's just now it's like, well, you disagree with me, so you're a jerk. Like,
yeah.
well, why is that?
Well, I hope in some ways, if there's a little bit of a turning point here, it's not. Honestly, I don't. To your point, I mean, the guy's not going to resign. I mean, under any circumstances, and I don't know that we'd be better off. That's the beauty of having JD Vance for your vice president. It's kind of like an insurance policy. But I hope we get to the point where we realize like the the trying to make the Democrats the enemy, or correspondingly for the Democrats to make the Republican the enemy. Republicans are not my enemy, and I won't even go enemy, but Russia's my adversary, China's my adversary, right? Like those are the threats to our stability in a country. And it's frustrating when I think people are headed down a path that I don't agree with and yada yada. But I think that's what's been so painful. Now I'm rambling and I've had a third pineapple infused rum. The
You're on number 3, man. I'm way behind.
Yeah. I've said this, and I don't mean to be overly dramatic about it, but Trump was such a breaking point for me because of what it represented and different ways that we've framed that. And I don't want to be my characterization late on that, but like you've been good to acknowledge how out of the no, like this was not like the next in the series of Bushes and others that like and you think and I in terms of the fiscal policy, I don't disagree with you that we really needed a fundamental like a disruptive revolutionary, not like French Revolution, but like a real reset.
Well, this is why I think this is a really significant event, because one of the things, we talked about it. It wasn't just policy. What I liked about him was the fighter instinct
Yeah,
to go into the mat. And while I hope I acknowledged he could be a jackass at times and run his mouth, there was an
you did.
element of that I liked, because I felt like, hey, this is, if anybody's going to go take it to the deep state, this is a guy that could do it. And I love that.
Hmm.
But then you have a situation like this where then, I don't want to say deep state because that conjures a bunch of stuff, but like the establishment, like he's going to go after
Status
the
quo.
establishment. He's doing things that are different than anybody. I like that. It's different. And I think that attracted a lot of people. But now he becomes the face of the status quo establishment deep state. And then not only that, if that wasn't bad enough, then he turns around and says, well, screw all you people that disagree with me, it's a hoax. And like, oh my gosh. I mean, it's not that like I wasn't aspiring to him any sort of noble moral
Right.
like, obviously the guy is not morally sound. I get that. I get there's issues there. It's just like I think people had this sense like he was going to make a difference, and then
Hmm.
I see the bill, and I see this thing, and then the way he's turned on his people. It's like any hope that this guy was a was what we thought. I think is out the window. I mean,
Yeah.
I hope he does some things that, like I said, there's some stuff that he's done good. I hope that continues, but I think it's a huge turning point for his base, and I don't think I'm alone in that. It's like, and he could salvage it if he came back and said, I mean, if a guy like that came back and said, we screwed this up, and I got pissed, and I told everybody they were like how fixable it would be, but
Hmm.
because of who he is, he's not going to change,
No.
and it's like he's going to drive the freaking plane into the ground, and it's all going to be his own doings.
One of the things that's interesting about that at the outset, back to roll the clock back to November right after the election. And, my question to you was essentially, my gosh, how bad are things that you're willing to roll that hand grenade into the room? And not to characterize your answer, but like you said, I think it's that broken. I think we need a fundamental shift in what we're doing. The worst irony of this is that we have all of the disruption, all of the turmoil within families, all the vilification. And you know what's going to come out of this is the status quo, because what you're going to wind up with, maybe I'm wrong, but it kind of looks that way, right? Like instead of getting any real meaningful kind of a reboot or disruption, what you get is you get a lot of noise, you get a lot of pain, you get a lot of people at each other's throats, and you
Well,
kind of get the same as usual.
yeah, I don't think I'm all the way there yet. I think like I think that what he's part of what pisses me off about this is I do feel like he was on the right track on some things. I think he did it. I think he did well on the border. I mean, legal immigration is pretty much non-existent. I think,
Right.
I think a lot of the international stuff has been positive. Um, I think there's elements that are really good, and it's like, but you're gonna piss this all away
Mm.
because of your own, well, and again, it's either because of your own short-sightedness and narrow-minded view of the world, or it's one of those three options that we talked about. I mean, that it's like this thing, I don't know how. And you say like, I don't see him resigning. I don't know about that. I mean, if all that is talked about for the next year is Jeffrey Epstein, and
Mm.
they drive him batty with this, and I mean, he's already kind of flipped out as it is, and flipped out against
Yeah.
his base, and all his base leaves him. I mean, I don't know that he's the selfless public servant that he wants everybody to think he is. If it's going that south for him, does he stick around? Maybe not.
Yeah. Not a resign in ignominy or shame, but a resign in like, I don't need this. Screw you. I'm going home.
Right.
Yeah. Uh, Maybe as we wrap a little bit about forecast about what happens, look at our three potential scenarios. I don't think any of those suggest that there's going to be more that we're going to really learn. Like I don't think there's a big, even if it's a nothing burger, we already know all that's there. You got the flight logs. We know who, we know what people have done. If it's the mutual destruction that there's bad stuff about everybody in there, and the reason Biden didn't release it is because Bill Clinton looks bad, and the reason Trump didn't release it is because Trump looks bad, and if it hasn't come out now, I don't know that there's enough people who've read whatever's there that if the blockbuster of the century was the Wall Street Journal article that he drew a dirty picture, like I don't know that we're
What
going to
what
learn
about
anymore.
what about if Congress could get Ghislaine on to testify? And that there's a bipartisan resolution to do that.
Yeah. Uh, I would buy tickets for that.
Hell yeah, yeah, no kidding. C-SPAN's ratings are going to go through the roof.
And then if there's something deeper and darker, if that's why things haven't come out now, then that ain't going to change. Right?
Yeah.
If the root of this was the that he was a CIA mole who's been doing this for years, then the reason it didn't get out is because somebody sat in the Oval Office a couple of weeks ago and said, "If you do this, we will terminate your presidency."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or
Right.
they went to see him with
We're
not
not going
related to
to we're
this.
not going to miss like we did in Butler. Right.
Yeah, not related to this, but there's a manila envelope of pictures that we brought with us,
Oh
and
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like if it's the really deep conspiracy, it's worked because it's worked for three administrations now, and that ain't going to change.
I can just see, Wilford, is it Wilford Brimley on the firm when he drives them out and are showing the pictures?
What do you think about that?
That's not so good for a young marriage. Gosh.
Well, I want to reiterate, and I'm not being. I hope it doesn't come across as disingenuous, man. When I heard that, how stupid they bought this. I was just like, wow, what a horrible thing. What a because I know you and I disagree, but you voted with a desire to see positive change for the country. And I think his base did the same in a not for different reasons. It's an interesting coalition. It's an interesting coalition that's been drawn together by people that have felt disenfranchised and left out by their government, and they deserve better than that.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
it just it's an unfortunate situation.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm sure we'll talk about other things in the podcast, but I don't think this is the last time we're going to talk about this because I did not think this thing's going away.
Wow. Well, interesting to know, and thanks for your candor about this. And it's been an interesting discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we got 3 rums out of you, so it was a 3 rum discussion right there.
Hey, thanks for joining us on this episode of Bourbon and Rum Podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Remember to subscribe on your favorite platform and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us keep the good spirits flowing.
And we invite you to join this conversation. Follow us on our Facebook page. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you want to hear.
And until next time, cheers.